Welcome to your weekly Buzzkill, where we give you facts and feel-good conversations with phenomenal people. This week, we have Samantha Murillo, a motivational speaker that got her start simply by volunteering her time to give a free speech to her college classmates. And from there, she kind of found her passion to be exactly what she wanted to be. So, her opinions on confidence, her opinions on millennials and being fierce are all grounded from that very moment. And I can't wait to have you guys listen to what she has to say. I love exactly what we talked about when it comes to millennials. I love how we were kind of diving into the nuances of what this generation is really about and how it's not all of the grim stuff that we are always talking about, but there's great things that are going to come out of this generation. So just buckle down, guys. And this is a real lighthearted interview, and I hope that you guys take it that way and check it out. Thank you guys for tuning in to Angel Rants. We are here today with our guest, Samantha Murillo. She's a public speaker. She is a YouTube star, and she has so much to talk about. So thank you, Samantha, for being with us.
Thank you for inviting me. It's great to be here.
Yeah, so I don't even know where to start. There's so much to talk about with you, mostly because there's a lot that you have going on, and you just got started with this whole thing.
I just really took off with my public speaking business in February. And it's just blown up since then. It's just been incredible.
Awesome. So what was it, I think, what I want to tackle first is what brought you to the place to start this, and then what I think, what transpired that kind of gave you the upslope to it.
Sure. So I was actually doing this kind of casually for about 3 years. So I was doing it as a favor for one of my mentors, and he gave me my internship, and he said, all my interns have to come back and speak. It's a part of my, contract with you. So I said, okay. And I got such a great feedback. He's like, can you keep speaking? So I went back once a semester, and I actually started speaking for my old professors.
You were speaking for free?
Yes, I was speaking for free. And
see, just for perspective, that's an interesting note to take, because a lot of entrepreneurs don't like to do stuff for free.
Yes.
A lot of people don't like to put in the work, don't like to put in the effort up front to just gain some momentum.
Yes, and I definitely needed the experience, just because looking back, like my second time doing it, I was like, wow, I rocked it. And now it's just like, oh God, that was so bad.
Cringe. Very cringy.
Yeah, so it's like every time I get better and better. And what really propelled me into actually taking this further is I was listening to a motivational video, and I'm really into motivation, inspiration. And I was listening to this video, and it said, what do you love to do? And, I love to sleep, so I can't do that.
Naps aren't a viable
I love
profession.
to eat. Yeah. I'm like, okay, what can I actually do?
Right.
And I said, I also love to talk to people. I love to network. I really like meeting new people. I think finding different conversations, and I know some people think that's like the worst thing. Some people cringe when they hear that, meeting new people. But I actually love it. And the next question that they asked in the video was, why aren't you doing it? And I was
what
like,
what video is this? Because I feel like a lot of people would benefit
I don't even know what it was, but I was like, I felt kind of dumb, honestly, because I was like, why am I not doing this? Like, why in the world have I been, number one, doing this kind of nonchalantly, and I've been getting so much better feedback every single time I do it, that so many more students who I speak to reach out and add me on LinkedIn and email me with questions.
Awesome.
And I'm like, why haven't I been doing this? So, and I'm that kind of person, like, if I put my mind to something, I will do it. And it was just that little push, and I was like, I'm taking off with this. So
do you think that influence was a big area of, or reasoning behind why you started? Do you think like having that influence for, I guess, your peers or for people?
You know what? I didn't have too many people saying you should do this professionally.
But once you kind of caught a whiff of that influence.
Yeah, I'm very. I didn't know I was, an entrepreneur at that time, but when I have an idea, I just roll with it,
right.
No matter what project it is or anything like that. And I didn't have anyone saying, you know what, you should really do this. I just saw the opportunity and I took it, and I just love, once I have something in my head, I just take action. I'm like, I'm ready. Right. I'm ready.
So, all right. So what is it that you talk about? I guess, what are some of the topics that you touch on? Because I know that along with being a public speaker, like I have a friend who started as a speaker specifically for schools. Mm-hmm. So he would go to public schools, he would go to elementary schools, and that was his niche. That was the thing that he did most, mm-hmm. because he loved to concentrate on talking to kids. What is it that you like to talk about? So
right now, I'm kind of defining what my brand of speaking is, per se. So I have so many different topics I can speak of. I'm really finding out what I prefer. So I have a lot of speeches. Right. My three main topics I would have to say is I love to speak on confidence and fierceness, kind of, and right. social media and millennials. And millennials is a big one. Millennials in the workplace. A lot of companies have a lot of questions about that. So, yeah.
The Simon Sinek thing. I think we've all heard the Simon Sinek.
That actually got me inspired to speak about millennials. He was really great, and I shared that a bunch of times on my Facebook.
So, as a millennial, then, what
mm-hmm.
do you think? What do you think of the whole Simon Sinek thing? Do you think it's something that we kind of have? Do you think we have like a burden to carry with our own generation? Because when I first saw that video, it hit me so hard. But the one thing that I really disagreed on with him was that it wasn't our fault, right? Like he said, for those that haven't heard the video, he talks about how this generation is constantly staring at our phones. We're not forming good relationships. We're doing all of these things that kind of hinder our progress in life. But it's not necessarily our faults because we don't know any better. But I feel like we get to a point in life where now that we know better, we should do better. It's kind of a Maya Angelou quote.
Yeah, I would say it depends on the person. There are some people that I know who really do kind of that stereotypical millennial, unfortunately. Right. But I would say that I think we're smarter than that stereotype. I really think so. I think we have a lot more ambition than we're given credit for. And that whole stereotype that like we were given participation awards and we were told we were perfect. I definitely was not told I was perfect.
Yeah.
And I definitely was not given participation awards. Instead, I was told, listen, if you lose, just do better.
Yeah.
And, in terms of staring at my phone, honestly, I made so many connections of just being online.
I can agree with you there.
It is incredible. And people would say, like, oh, you're not really meeting people in person. Actually, I am. I actually met you through Instagram.
Right.
And I'm doing a couple collabs with people coming up in the next few months on my YouTube with people I met through Instagram. So
there's a lot of money to be made on Instagram.
It's crazy, and I never would have met these people without that platform. And I think that's truly a gift. And I continue to network and meet people in person, but I really find people aren't as awkward and staring in their phones as like the stereotypes are.
Right. I think that's a fringe group for sure.
Yeah.
But I will say that growing up, I went to a Catholic school growing up, and nothing against that. But I was given participation awards, and the teachers would always tell me
kid?
Yeah, I could do anything that I want when I grow up. I would draw pictures of being an astronaut, Then I found out I had to do math in order to be an astronaut.
Like, no way.
And I was like, no way. You have to be like in the 1% of all like the Air Force in order to be an astronaut. I was like, you know what? I'm just gonna be an artist.
You know what? I think that's interesting though that you had that goal because. Grant Cardone speaks about this, and actually Ty Lopez speaks about this also, that failure is a gift. And I never really understood that. I was like, I hate failing. Yeah. But that's the point, because they said, without failure, you don't know what it feels like to win.
Right.
And I actually heard that today, and I was like, wow.
That's so good.
That's so true, because that failure, like I got denied to Boston University for my master's program. Wow. And I kept the letter because
it's kind of masochistic.
I kept the letter because I was like, you know what? I'm going to prove them wrong. And the next letter that came in the mail, I got accepted to the Seton Hall program. And I actually got accepted as I don't even know. You know, when you're like below a certain grade point level, I wasn't doing well in college, like my freshman year. So it kind of carried on. So they accepted me like tentatively in Seton Hall. Wow. And I kept that letter. And now I still have the letter. And I look at it and I was like, you know what? If I got accepted to all my schools, I don't think it would feel as good. It felt really good to look at that letter and say, you know what? I got over it. And I'm better off. Because now I know, like, that devastation, like, I really wanted to go to Boston. That was my dream.
Right.
And I had it, like, crushed pretty much within one letter.
Yeah.
And it was just great to have that feeling of, I'm accepted, now I'm in the right program. And it kind of, things work out for a reason. So you weren't meant to be an astronaut.
Well, I drew that picture really well.
Oh, okay.
The picture of being an astronaut. I think that there's a certain level of responsibility that we... I don't want to say we're cheated out of, but that we weren't aspired to as millennials, right? We weren't, we hear all these stories about our grandparents and stuff like that growing up, and by the time they were our age, they were married, they had 2 kids, and all this stuff.
2 houses.
Yeah,
that
2
they
houses.
Owned. What?
they went to war. All this crazy stuff, and so I feel like we almost kind of lack that same responsibility, and I feel like our way of making up for it now is with all the technology that we have, and with all these abilities to make connections and make money all across the world, and I feel like it's an awesome place that our generation is in, where we can kind of supplement the responsibility that we didn't have with this new kind of responsibility to make the world a better place.
And it's funny, like, the speakers that speak on millennials a lot of times are coming with this outside perspective, even though there's a lot of research on millennials in terms of how we think, what we do, but from my perspective, talking to my friends' parents, because I don't know, like, moms and dads love me and I love them. Like, I always make friends with like the parents first. Right. But I'm talking to them about, millennials, and I get into these topics with them. And a lot of times, and including my own mom, she said, you know what, I had to struggle so much as a child and growing up.
Interesting.
I don't want my kids to feel that way. And it's funny, it's this reoccurring theme that our parents, and I'm 24, so my mom, she waited a little bit to have kids, but she pretty much said, I struggled so much, I don't want to put that burden on you, and so that's why I encouraged you so much, and I pushed you so much, and we got there. And I feel like my friends' parents say the same thing. Yeah. And it's kind of like, it's a good thing, and it's kind of a curse also, because we didn't have that struggle as much as them. Right. But it's a different world that we're living. I think millennials are taking a good advantage of it, and we're creating companies, and we're creating, our own mini masterpieces, and we're, thinking of these ideas that people in the, like, Uber. Right. Who would have thought that we were going to get into strangers' cars that would drive us to our destination? And
I can't lie, Uber Eats is like
Uber
heaven
Eats.
to me. Oh my God. I just ordered from Uber
incredible.
Eats yesterday, and I got a Taylor ham, egg, and cheese bagel delivered to my desk while I worked.
Or
in the morning.
Or is it a pork roll?
No, it's Taylor ham. I'm from Jersey. I don't know where you're from. I'm from Jersey.
That's the New York difference.
Yeah, that's the
outsider's perspective.
New Yorker. I don't know. This is my podcast.
All right, it's a Taylor ham, guys. It's a Taylor ham.
But no, I totally agree with you. I think it's something amazing that's happening with the millennial generation, and I think it's almost a new. I don't know if it's a new medium that we've tapped into, but ever since the whole wave of these super entrepreneurs happened, they've just kind of unlocked something that allows for us to have all these little micro inventions that kind of help the world in a new way.
It's just the beginning.
How do people respond to you, like younger people, maybe not millennials, but maybe like Gen Y and stuff, like specifically girls, like that are maybe 12 to 18?
Sure. It's actually really nice to reach out to younger audiences, because they all say like, oh, like, I can't wait to, be doing what you're doing, whether it's my day job or my public speaking. And I'm thinking, oh my gosh, they think I'm way cooler than I actually am. Like, they think I'm way more, like, advanced than I actually am. But it's funny, like their perspective on where I am and what I'm doing, it really puts it in perspective for me. Like, you know what, I am doing something really good, and I am reaching out, especially about the confidence and the fierceness with that audience, because I feel really strongly that if you have enough confidence and you have enough drive and motivation and you have that spirit that you want to do something, you will get it. You will get it. You know, you may not be the best. There's always going to be someone better than you at everything.
Right.
There's always going to be someone prettier than you. There's always going to be someone, you know, more muscular than you. There's always going to be someone to beat you at your own game. But it's kind of finding your niche and saying, you know what, this is what I'm going to do, and I'm going to be the best at it.
That's awesome.
So I kind of want to reach that younger audience, and I have a couple, you read my mind, I have a couple of YouTube videos that I'm going to tailor to like the younger audiences.
Yeah.
Just to get into them and, you know, into their confidence and say, you know, you're good enough, you know what I mean? Like, you don't need to impress people over their own standards.
Right, which is important for this upcoming generation. There's so much value that they hold within social media platforms and within their own social group, you know, it's
and they're looking
heavy
at these
for them.
people who look, they're Facetuned.
Yeah.
You know, like the app Facetune.
Oh, yeah.
They're photoshopped, and it's hard. You know, you wake up and it's like, hashtag woke up like this, and it's like, oh God, I did not wake up like this. And that's what people think is normal. So I actually commend the people on Instagram. I don't know if you've seen, but like Instagram versus reality. And it's a lot of fitness. It's actually a lot of fitness girls that'll do their pose, and it's like pre-lunch and then post-lunch. And I always comment, I was like, thank you so much for doing these. And I always send it to my friends who are really into fitness too. Because I'm like, people need to see this. This is the real life. You can't look perfect all the time.
Right.
So when people say like, oh, Barbies made us, you know, think that we were supposed to look like them, I did not think I was supposed to look like Barbie. But it does help, you know, that they're coming out with all these body positivity. So I think for the younger generation, social media is going to be more of an asset than anything else.
Yeah, for sure. I think it's part of the human condition to want to aspire towards something. You know, you look back all the way, you know, thousands of years. You had the statues of David and stuff. People are always looking at something to admire.
Perfect, yeah.
Yeah, so even nowadays, it's right there in our pockets, and it's constantly staring at us.
Definitely.
So, I mean, I just hope you're on Snapchat for the younger audience.
I am.
Yeah.
I have a couple different platforms. I really wanted to start on Instagram because I feel like that's where everyone is really headed if they're not already.
Yeah. And
that's where the most, you know, popularity has been made. I know Facebook Live's becoming really popular.
Yeah.
And Snapchat. I think Instagram is a good way to start off because of the hashtags. Okay. I think that's a really cool way to...
Easy discoverability.
Yes. So I figured I'd start off with Instagram and go from there.
Okay. So since we're in that area, tell us a little bit about how you're exploding on Instagram, because it just kind of It took an upshot really quickly.
Yeah, it was really awesome. So I have a couple different like strategies in terms of finding my audience. Okay. So pretty much I based my whole social media, you know, following off of hashtags. So I built it as, you know, looking up hashtag marketing, hashtag social media, hashtag sales. And I went from like hashtag motivation, inspiration, stuff like that, like the basic stuff. And then I went to, I do like NJ events because I want to speak at actual events. And actually later this month is my first event that I've actually been, you know, promoting since February. And it's for a nonprofit. It's July 29th. And I actually found them through looking on NJ events.
Awesome.
It was awesome. And I was like, I would have never found this. So that's really how I did it. And what I would do is just like a lot of people's pictures and comment, and it pretty much went from there. So a lot of people follow me just to unfortunately unfollow. But I know.
I put up a post about that yesterday. It's like, just be honest. Do you follow to unfollow?
Oh.
Because I keep getting those. I keep getting
the weird followers.
Yeah, the weird followers. And then I get the people that just comment like an emoji.
Yeah.
Or nice or good work. And
they're like spam bots. Yeah.
Yeah.
But
I'm tired of them.
I liked people's pictures, but I didn't like follow to unfollow. But I actually got this app that showed me who unfollowed me, and I was like, oh my God, that is so terrible.
It's
like
heartbreaking.
I know. Honestly, in the beginning, it really, because my followers were a little bit, you know, the follower count was a little bit lower. I was like, really? You unfollowed me? you know? But now it's like, it's okay.
Well, it's funny.
You might come back.
When I first started, not Angel Media, but I had a blog before that, I pulled a switch on people, like a bait and switch. I just took my personal Instagram and just changed the name of it to my blog page and just started posting stuff about my blog. So about 6 months in, I ran my Instagram through that thing that shows you who unfollows you. And I started seeing the people who were unfollowing me, and it was like a knife in my heart. I was like, you unfollowed me? Like, I've known you since high school, man. Like, so it's pretty intense, but
it's funny. I actually
it just shows you how much you weigh those follows.
And I posted my I screenshotted like one of my recent posts, and I posted on my personal Instagram, and I said, hey, I would love any support. Anyone can follow me. And I waited till I really got my page like cool enough where I was like, okay, like I'm not like, it's not just like one random post. Like I have a good amount of followers. I have a good amount of likes. I'm gonna say 10 people followed me. Yeah. And I wasn't gonna push it. I said I'm gonna do one post and that's it.
Right.
Because everyone sees it. Everyone's on Instagram pretty much all day.
Yeah.
So I said I'm gonna do one post and see who follows me. And a lot of, like I was like, oh, that's really nice. Like some surprises, and then some of like, my bestest like friends, and I'm like, oh, okay, that makes sense. But I was really surprised. It was only like 10, 15 people. And I actually posted a couple weeks ago, like, if you want to see who your real friends are, start a business. And
that'll always stick it to people.
It's funny because like, obviously it has to be a legitimate business. Like people get hung up on that. As long as it's a legit business and it's really your passion, you might be surprised who will support you and who won't.
I'm learning that.
Yeah, I'm sure. Yeah.
Which I honestly can't complain too much. I mean, my friends have been super supportive. Like they've sent me work. They've recommended me to people. Some people have like talked to huge business owners for me. So they've been really supportive. But like there are those friends that have just been like, are you sure you want to do this? Especially when I was going to leave my job. Oh my gosh. The pushback that I had from people was like, listen, man, you're great at what you do, but like you've got it set right now. And I would get that all day long, like text messages in the middle of my day. Like,
are you sure?
just pray about it, man. Like, it's crazy stuff, but
it's interesting. Yeah. But it all turns out for the best. You kind of, I feel like that leap of faith also, to quit your full-time job, and it's always nice to have a little bit of security.
Oh, big time.
So save enough money that you can support yourself for a couple months and invest in whatever you need to invest in. But as long as you can get to that, talk about a leap of faith.
Yeah.
Like, that's truly a leap of faith. You believe in yourself so much that you're ending your full-time job. That's big incredible.
Time. Yeah, big time.
I'm not there yet, but maybe one day.
Transition the right way, please.
Yeah,
definitely. You know, if you can do it, if you can calculate everything out, that's definitely the way to go. Like, I'm just a masochist, I think, but for sure.
But I've heard from people that if you have a daytime job that you're, like for me, my public speaking, there's only so many speeches I can really do a month because it's a lot of traveling eventually, going to Houston, going to Dallas, going to all these places that have these big events. But having at least a consulting job or something on the side is really nice to give some content. And I've heard from people that if you're going to be a actually it was Gary Vee and Grant Cardone were talking about this, and they were saying like they want to hear from people who've done it. So, and they were on this like Grant, it's actually called Grant Rant. It's funny, kind of similar to yours, but
I haven't gotten onto Grant Cardone.
Oh, he's great. Yeah. He's a ball of energy for sure. But they were talking about how if they want to hear about motivation for entrepreneurs, they want an entrepreneur who has made $1 million business or something from scratch. And I was like, that's a good point. Like, what am I supposed to talk about all the time? Like, I can talk, but having that behind me, like, listen, I've done this. My job is really good right now, but I want to go even further and kind of mix the two. So I'm really excited about doing that too.
That's a good idea.
Yeah.
So we're going to take a quick break, and we're going to be back with more from Samantha Murillo.
Yes.
So thank you for tuning into Angel Rants. As you know, this podcast is brought to you by Angel Media Branding. If you need any kind of logo work, if you need a website or you need social media management, something to get your business to the next level, make sure you reach out to us at angelmediabranding.com. You can also find us on Instagram at _AngelMedia. And by the way, if you are loving this podcast or if you have some sort of feedback, please reach out to us. Drop us a line on Instagram at _AngelMedia. Just go right to the most recent picture and comment or like it or say something that you have on your mind, something that you like about the show, something you don't like. Talk to Samantha, talk to me, and just let us know what you think about the podcast. Talk to us. Start a conversation. And now, back with more from Samantha. I hope you guys are enjoying it, and I hope you guys will love it. So we're back with Samantha, and we just have some more questions to ask. So I want to talk a little bit more about some of your other subjects that you talk about,
Sure.
Specifically confidence. What is it that you really go into when you're talking about confidence? Does that tie into the fierceness thing, or is that like a separate?
It kind of overlaps just because they have a lot of the same tones, and confidence is just so important. It's crazy. And I feel like the way I can speak about confidence is because I have not been the most confident person.
Okay.
Because I've been there. And
I see.
yeah, and I feel like confidence is a skill that could be taught. And I think Gabby Douglas said that it's like lipstick. It has to be reapplied all the time, every single day.
There's actually somebody you should listen to. His name is Yaya Bakar.
Oh, yes, I follow, I subscribe to him on YouTube. I love him.
He's a
great.
close friend of mine, actually.
Really?
Yeah.
Oh my God, I'm fangirling right now.
Yeah.
He awesome.
Yeah,
I think I signed up for one of his emails. I'm not even gonna lie. I did the clickbait. I clicked
it. He went to my high school, and I was like his first graphic designer when he started doing
that's so cool.
all this speaking stuff. Mm-hmm. So when he first started, right before he started, he was doing Cutco. You know what Cutco is? Like selling door-to-door knives.
Oh, yes. I had those knives, actually.
And he came to my house to sell knives to me. And he kind of inspired me to do this whole journey of like self-discovery. And so I decided to do Cutco as well. And I kind of followed him down this whole road.
Those knives are really good.
Yeah. It's so good, they'll make you want to soul search, you know?
Yeah.
But
wow, that's awesome. Yeah, actually, when I first started looking into, how to public speak professionally, and AKA get paid to do it, he was one of the first people who, I think he literally has a video how to get paid to actually speak, like stop volunteering for
Josh
stuff.
Ship, all them.
Yep. Yeah. Awesome. YouTube has been just so awesome. Like it's really understated, honestly.
Yeah.
Yeah. But in terms of the confidence, it's just been like, it's definitely been a skill, depending on what's happening in my life. I'm like, what I catch myself doing sometimes is the negative self-talk. So that's why I tell people you have to bring yourself up, gas yourself up. You got to be your own biggest fan. And it's funny, like I bought this candle the other day. It says, "Today I do things for me." Awesome. And it's a little bit of like a selfish thing, but it's really not, because once you take care of yourself, everyone in your life will benefit. If you're happier, like if you're a mom and you're so busy and you're miserable, but the sink is clean and the house is perfectly clean, that might be great. That you can always hire a maid, but in terms of your own sanity and your own self-confidence, I think it's so much better for the people around you to really be happy with who you are,
right,
and go from there. Your family will be better. Your work life will be better. Your love life will be better. Pretty much, it's like a ripple effect. Mm-hmm. Once you feel good about yourself, and you might even inspire someone else. I have some friends who are in some tough relationships, and I tell them, I'm like, listen, sometimes you got to be selfish, and you have to say, I deserve better. Mm-hmm. The key word is I deserve better. Right. And I really held that to, maybe it may make me sound spoiled, but I deserve better and I deserve the best. So that's kind of how I approached it. Some people might think it's a little arrogant, but it's but there's a fine line between arrogance and confidence.
Right.
And arrogance is like wearing a muscle tee and ripping it in the middle of the gym, in the middle of your reps. But confidence is, doing your thing, owning it, and being, your true self and really rocking it. So I think there's a difference.
What are some practical things that people can do on the daily to kind of assure that they have this confidence and just kind of repeat it?
Sure. So I think dressing to a certain standard really helps. Okay. If I feel kind of bummish. I'm like, oh, I don't really want to get out of bed today. Sometimes I'll force, like this morning. Right. It was like kind of muggy outside. I always force myself when I feel like low energy to wear high heels.
Right.
You know, obviously that's a lady's thing to do. You guys can't apply that really.
It does not apply to me.
Yeah. But it kind of brings you that little extra confidence. So I think that's a little thing that ladies can do. But in terms of, you know, both gentlemen and ladies, it's really just about the minor goals. So if say you want to start your own public speaking career, you're not going to do TEDx in the beginning. You got to build yourself up. So say today, I'm going to build myself up a little bit, and I'm going to send a couple emails out to local universities and see if they need public speakers. Awesome. And kind of get your confidence a little bit like that. Like with my YouTube, you know, my studio and setting up, I've practiced so many times because I want the lighting just to be right, and now I'm getting more comfortable and comfortable, and I'm getting a little more confident in front of the camera. So I think it's more practice makes perfect.
Right.
And I've actually heard when you're doing sales at home, so like sometimes I can work from home, but I'll dress up like I'm going to work sometimes just to get that little extra. And like when I would sit down for interviews, I would get dressed up like I was in an interview. I feel like that gives me a little more like oomph than just sitting in my sweatpants. I'm a little more motivated, I'm a little more confident, and I think that really portrays it's the little things.
Right. There's actually a Tom Ford interview that I saw where it was a Tom Ford documentary that I saw where he was talking about when he was into depression, and he made this whole film around this guy who was depressed and how he was scrubbing his shoes, he was shining his shoes and putting on a suit, and he was doing all that to kind of get himself out of depression. And he said that he made the character around himself who, when he's feeling down, he actually puts on his whole outfit and puts on an entire suit, and he just kind of sits in his house in his like Tom Ford suit because he's Tom Ford.
Yeah.
So obviously he doesn't own anything like, you know, passive. He owns these incredible suits. So it's really, you know, true what you're saying. The way you present yourself outside kind of reflects how you might feel about yourself.
And you can buy whatever, you know, expensive things. You know, there's some people who think like, oh, if I get a nice car, I'll feel a little bit better about myself, or if I have this nice house, or if I have a Rolex and all this stuff. But at the end of the day, there's still some people that hate themselves, that don't like themselves, but they have all these nice things. Right. So I think it's a really good balance just to say, you know what, I might have these nice things, but at the end of the day, it's about me.
Right.
I do this for me, and I do it to make myself happy, and everything else will follow.
Right.
You know, it'll ripple effect.
That's an awesome way to kind of wrap this thing up. Okay, so I have a few questions that I ask everybody. They're like quick rapid fire questions, and we'll end it there.
I'm ready.
I'll ask your information. I'm gonna try and cater them to you specifically, as I try and do with everybody. I'm gonna try and think of them off the top of my head.
Okay. No pressure.
Yes. No pressure. Okay. So, Gary Vee or Grant Cardone?
Oh, Grant Cardone.
Okay.
I love him.
Doesn't he? You can elaborate a little bit just to buy me some.
Yeah, sure. Grant Cardone is it's actually one of my goals, one of my long-term goals, or short-term as he would say, to make it happen. But I actually discovered him while doing sales and figuring out how to cold call and everything. And I really got into his motivational speaking. And it's one of my ultimate dreams to work with him because he is the most confident, energetic, no nonsense type of guy. And he just inspires you. Like, he makes me, even on my busy days, he makes me feel so lazy because he's like, no one's working harder than me. I guarantee it. And I'm like, well, he has a point. Like, you know, I start thinking like, damn, maybe I could be working harder, and it gets me a little bit motivated. Like, I'll listen to him on my lunch break and be like, I'm going back to work right now.
Okay.
It's pretty cool.
Right. I'm trying to think of another one.
How about Instagram or Facebook? Yeah?
No. Instagram or Snapchat?
Ooh. Right now, Instagram. Okay. But I think once I get a good following, probably move to Snapchat.
Okay.
I'm a big fan of Instagram right now, so.
And this one is totally out of left field, but I ask every single one.
I'm ready.
Yes. Drake or Shakespeare?
Ooh, Shakespeare.
Oh, thank God.
I gotta go with Shakespeare.
The guest that I had on a couple days ago said he didn't know and he wasn't sure.
Oh.
And he said, maybe Drake. And I was like,
I'm a big fan of Hamlet.
I'm not releasing this.
I'm a big fan of Hamlet, so I think it's really cool, you know, how he speaks and everything like that. And I think, honestly, the way people speak now and the way people rap and the way people vibe in songs might have been influenced by that a little bit. I'm just saying.
That's bold.
Yeah? You know how he speaks and, like, the commas are strategically placed and all that?
Right.
You never
the
know.
Stanzas.
Someone might have been inspired. Just throwing that out there.
You hear that, Kanye? Cool. Okay, so where can we find you?
So on Instagram right now, I'm Samantha Murillo, MHA. I might be changing that soon, so I'll let you guys know.
Okay.
And my YouTube channel is launching this month, so I can definitely drop you guys the link in the description so you can click on it.
Awesome.
Awesome.
Website coming soon?
Yes, it's actually up, but I'm not really promoting it yet. It's SamanthaMurillo.com, so pretty much my name on everything.
Perfect. Thank you so much for coming out and being a part of this. Thank you
so much for having me. I appreciate it.
Yes, when you get some big news, when you want to promote something, come back and
Definitely.
we'll do it.
All right, awesome. Thank you guys.
Thank you.